Hello friends, Intuitive Rene here. Thank you for joining me for another video. And I hope you're going to enjoy this one because this one's a little bit different from the normal. What I'm doing today, friends, is I'm doing real life reading for a real life client. I'm just not going to give you the client's details, personal details such as their name and where they live and things like that. But I'm going to show you the question that I have received, and I'm going to take you through the process that I use to do a tarot reading for a client. So this is not an in-person interactive tarot reading, but this is where I receive questions, detailed questions, and the process that I go through to do the reading for the client, offering the client guidance and inspiration and answers to the questions that they have. On table with me right now, I have got the two decks that I'm going to be working with. I have my Vintage Pam Tarot, or I don't think that's what it's called, the Vintage Pam Tarot. It's the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's just got that old kind of look and feel for it. The reason why I'm using this deck today for this client, for this question, is because I felt like it. So I'm going to use these videos, and I plan on doing quite a few of these, to sort of give you a little bit of insight into how I work, okay? Because a lot of people will say, oh, you know, that deck that you chose, it was so appropriate, it was so relevant, it was so whatever it may be. And they always think, I get questions around, you know, do I choose a deck specifically based on the client, what I know of the client or the question? And the answer is no. I choose decks. I do have quite a big collection of tarot decks and oracle decks, and I choose based on my feeling at that moment in that time. I pick a deck that I haven't used in a while. I do sometimes pick a deck that I think would be appropriate for the client, but only if I know the client. So if it's a client I have read for a couple of times, if it's a client I'm familiar with, and I know that they, you know, tend to be quite open-minded, I may choose a deck that is fairly open-minded. But if it's a client I don't really know, if it's somebody who I'm reading for the first time, I generally try and stick with the basics. I will go to, you know, just my standard, and this is my standard, because I like the size of the deck. I like the fact that it is so small, so I can shuffle it quite easily. And when I'm doing a video like this, at the moment, I don't know how many cards I'm going to use to do the reading. So I need a deck that's not going to take up a lot of space. So I chose this one because it is one of my absolute favorites. I love the fact that it is so small. I love the fact that I can shuffle it so easily. And I love the artwork. I love this kind of vintage old look and feel about it. So that's why I chose this particular tarot deck. Okay, so I'm going to be working with that tarot deck and then the oracle deck that I'm going to be working with. Now, before I tell you what the oracle deck is, I don't always use oracle. Okay, so when I do real life readings, yes, when I do my YouTube videos and stuff, I normally always include an oracle because they are pretty, because they're gentle, because they give a lot of love, they give a lot of, you know, empathy and compassion and all of those kind of things. And that's why I include them when I do my pick cards and all of that. But when I do my real life readings, I often don't use an oracle. But if I am going to use an oracle, I generally, you know, for real life kind of situations, I generally only have two oracles that I would use. This one and the Roots and Wings oracle. So those would be like my two go-tos because, and being a reader, a full-time reader, I don't want an oracle that puts me in a box and says this is what you need to say and no more, no less. I want an oracle that keeps me open, that allows the intuition to flow, that doesn't restrict my thinking, my rationale, or my anything. So I want an oracle that's going to just ignite or trigger the intuition. So that's why this one always seems to be my go-to. I honestly and truly absolutely love and adore this one. And if you have been following my channel for any amount of time, you will probably recognize it. You will probably know it because I do use it a lot. So this one and the Roots and Wings are two of my favorite. This is a mass market, which means easily available. You know, I can replace it easily if I need to. The Roots and Wings is an indie, which means you can only buy it from the publisher or from the creator, which means it is a little bit more pricey. And especially with me being in South Africa, postage and shipping and whatever is just makes it almost impossible to purchase. So Roots and Wings is one that I'm not going to use as often because I want to try and keep it clean, neat, and tidy. But this one is my go-to, and it is the Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Linn. I have trimmed my version. I have cut all the big borders off. So this is really personal. It's really great. And what I love about this deck is that it just has the single keyword. The pictures are great. The artwork is amazing. The artwork doesn't always talk to the keyword, but I get that. You know, I'm okay to read something from that and to read something from that. So one of the reasons why I love this deck so much is because the artwork is amazing and because it gives me a single keyword. And I find that the range of keywords in this deck don't ever leave me lacking. I don't ever feel like, oh, I wish there was something about this, or I feel like everything, I've never had a disappointing read with my Sacred Destiny Oracle. So that's how I choose the decks that I'm using for the reading. So my personal process that I go through is I prepare myself. Choosing the decks is the way that I go through. It's one of the steps that help to prepare me for the reading. I do get mindful. I do get, conscious of who I'm reading for, what the questions are, and the decks that I'm going to choose. Clearing the table, putting the decks out, lighting a candle, lighting some incense. I keep my incense behind me on the table there, so it is burning and it's doing its thing. But I do then do a bit of a prayer, just to sort of get myself into the zone. And this is now before I've even started shuffling the cards. Do a little bit of a prayer to get myself in the zone, to invite in my guides and angels to assist me in doing the reading and making sure that I keep my human out of the reading. Because my own opinions, my own judgments, my own opinions don't matter, okay? And they shouldn't affect or come into the reading in any way. Right, so at this point, I am not going to use the client's name, and this video obviously will be sent to the client as it will be made public. So the client is not receiving any other video. The client has asked me to do a reading, and this is a paid reading actually. This wasn't even a freebie. This is a paid reading. The client has paid me for this and just been kind enough to say that I can put it on a public platform as long as I keep the client anonymous, which of course I'm going to do. So I've done a sort of a snapshot because the questions came through via email. So I've done a screenshot of the questions, which I'm going to put on screen now. And obviously I've made sure to hide and remove. I've done some editing to hide and remove the client's name. So this is the questions that I received. So the client said, "Hi, I would like my tarot reading to please give guidance on the following. Number one, or the first point, I'm in a relationship with somebody who I dearly love. We've been together for 3 years now. We are living together, but we have not discussed marriage or anything yet. For the last 4 months, I have felt like he's distant. He doesn't seem to be his normal self, and I'm worried that we're drifting apart. I've tried talking to him about it, and he gets very angry and changes the subject. Is there something going on, and do I need to be worried?" Okay, so there's a lot going on in that question. Okay, so that's immediately what I do. So now, typically while I'm reading the question, I'm just going to move these ever so slightly out of the way. While I'm reading the question, I will sit and shuffle the cards. All right. And what I'm always do whenever I do a tarot reading, I'm not the kind of tarot reader that has a specific spread that I stick with, or a specific spread, like if somebody's got relationship issues, right, there's my relationship spread and that's what I do. I do that occasionally, but that's when I don't have context. And in this particular instance, I have context. The client has given me quite a lot of insight into the relationship and what's worrying her and what she specifically wants guidance on. So to me, this is a brilliant kind of tarot question. So I shuffle the cards while I read the question over and over and over again, making sure that I am keeping my own opinions, my own judgments, and my own expectations out of the reading. And I can do the overhand shuffle as I've just been doing. I may want to do a couple of ripple shuffles, but the ripple shuffles is normally what I would do to start the shuffling process, because riffle to me is getting like right to the nitty gritty, whereas the overhand is getting a little bit more gentle, a little bit more like specific into the cards that we are wanting to draw out, or wanting to come out. Okay, so we do the overhand shuffle, we do some we do riffle, we do some overhand shuffle as we read the question. Let me actually just bring the question up again. I know there's a second question. I will get on to the second question just now. Let me actually do it like this. Sorry, friends, I know this is terrible videoing, but bear with me. Right, I'm going to stretch forward and see if I can shuffle in the space. So, again, I'm in a relationship, so I go through the question again. I'm in a relationship with somebody who I dearly love. We've been together for 3 years now. We are living together, but we have not discussed marriage or anything as yet. For the last 4 months, I felt like he's been distant. He doesn't seem to be his normal self, and I'm worried that we're drifting apart. I've tried talking to him about it, but he gets very angry and changes the subject. Is there something going on, and do I need to be worried? All right. First thing I do, let's cut the deck, because I have put the intention into the deck. I have cut the deck, so now I'm ready to do the reading. First thing I always do when I do a reading is I want a card to depict current situation. So what is the current state of the relationship? And that's the card that's going to give us that. So what is the current state of client's relationship? And there we have, oh, I love that. We've got the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is basically saying that the relationship is actually quite solid. The relationship is actually quite good. There's a strong foundation to the relationship, even though, and actually let me bring it forward and show you. If we look at the artwork, can you see, let me get my hands out the way. Can we see the water all the way around seems to be quite choppy? Okay, there seems to be all sorts of waves. We've got fish jumping out. There's a boat in the background, but there definitely seems to be choppiness. But he's sitting on a very, very stable foundation. So again, this is saying that the relationship currently is actually okay. So even though she's picking up that for the last 4 months he's changed and he's different, this is actually confirming that it's not as if the relationship is in trouble right here, right now. But we do have the wavy waters, which means emotionally things are a little bit all over the place, but actually things are pretty okay. So the client also says that, and I'm shuffling again because I'm thinking about the next thing. She also says that she noticed from about 4 months ago that he started to become a bit distant. So let's find out what happened. Whoopsie, that was me just bad shuffling. You all know I am terrible with shuffling, especially when I'm not focusing and concentrating on the shuffling, but on other things. So what happened 4 months ago with her boyfriend that caused him to become a little bit distant? So let's see what happened 4 months ago that created or caused him to become a little bit distant. And here we have the Ace of Wands. So the Ace of Wands, as to what happened, actually want to take a second card because I just feel like Ace of Wands is not enough and I need a bit more. You see, now I understand. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Wands and we've got the King of Wands. We've got these two that have come through for what happened 4 months ago. So 4 months ago, there was something that happened at work. And looking at these two, I'm actually going to take a major assumption and say that there was a promotion at work or an increase in responsibilities at work, which has caused him to be stressed, to be anxious, to be thinking, to be, worried, concerned, nervous, whatever it may be. And that's what's happened. So 4 months ago, something happened at work. It was something new. It was something that he wasn't aware of. It was something that he didn't have before. Sorry, let me not say that he wasn't aware of, but it's something that he didn't have before. It's a new something that's come into his space, which has caused him a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress, and it's like he's got a lot on his plate. And because the relationship has always been quite secure and quite stable, he's possibly ignoring the relationship a little bit and focusing more on the work situation. I now want to ask the question, shuffling the cards again, how does he feel about her now? All right. So how does your boyfriend feel about you right here and right now? Okay, cards are shuffled. I'll put the intention of the question in, cut the deck. How does he feel about you right now? I shouldn't giggle, and I do apologize for giggling, but it's like the sense of humor that comes through in the cards. Okay, well, actually, let me show you the card before I move it out the way. So what we have here is the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups is the card of a little bit of boredom, a little bit of disconnection, a little bit of like, and it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you, but what it means is our relationship is so secure, our relationship is so stable, our relationship is actually quite fine. So he's sort of taking for granted. That's what I get with this, that he's taking the relationship for granted because he knows you're always going to be there. You're always going to be there for him. You're always going to be there with him. So he doesn't actually have to do anything. He doesn't actually have to do anything about the relationship, for the relationship, or for you, because you're always there. You're always secure. You're always stable. And because of that, he maybe isn't seeing the way that you're feeling and the way that you are reacting and responding right now. So if I had to go and have a conversation with him right now and say, hey, how's your relationship? He'll tell me, oh, it's fine. It's fine. You know, that's what he's going to say. He's going to say it's fine. He's not going to know that you're having a thought, that you're worried, that you're concerned, or that you're anxious. He's going to say, no, the relationship is fine. But it's because it's just so, it's always been that way, and therefore he's expecting it to always be that way. He's not noticing what's going on in the relationship because he's so preoccupied with the work environment. All right, so pushing that one aside, you'll notice when I do the readings as well that each question I sort of leave a gap, okay? Sort of space them out so that when I'm looking, and I haven't got the questions written down anywhere, I'm sort of, as I think of the client and think of her question, I then make up the questions as I go, and I put the cards down in batches, in groups, based on the questions that I'm asking. Typically, though, my tarot readings are done through a voice note, and it'll be a single voice note. So then I actually write the questions down, but I still group the cards. So when I'm talking, I talk about the answer to the one question, and then I also start looking at the overall image as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring up our question again. He doesn't seem his normal self. We've spoken about that. And worried that we're drifting apart. You know, and I'm going to say to you, with the worried that we're drifting apart, based on this card over here, I do think that's probably a possibility, because he's making the assumption that our relationship is strong, our relationship is fine, that there's nothing to worry about in this particular relationship. He's not working towards it because he just assumes that, you know, everything's great between you guys and everything's fabulous. Let's bring up the question again. He doesn't seem to be his normal self, and worried we're drifting apart. Right, we've covered that. I've tried talking to him, but he gets angry and changes the subject. So let's see. Why does he get angry when you bring up the topic of the relationship? Why does he not feel comfortable expressing feelings and hearing what you have to say about the relationship? Let's see what comes up around that. What's going on? Why does he feel angry, frustrated, and why doesn't he want to talk about the relationship? Okay, let's cut the deck. I'm going to take two cards because I feel like two cards are, oh my gosh, this is so fascinating. All right, so why doesn't he want to talk about the relationship? Why does he get angry? Why does he get defensive? And why does he change the subject? So again, we've got a similar situation, a background, okay? Solid foundation, but we've got the wavy waters in the background, which is exactly the same as our King of Cups. But here what we have is we've got a person, and I think this represents the boyfriend in this particular case. He's juggling. He's trying to find his balance. He's trying to find, like, you know, trying to handle everything. He's got everything up in the air, everything going on at once, work related, and he's sort of trying to figure it all out. And again, because he's so... because he feels so comfortable in the relationship, and because he feels like he doesn't have to put any effort in, and because he's not noticing the things that are going on, he can't understand why you want to add to his already complex plate. We then have the King of Swords. So we've got King, King, King. There are only 4 kings in the deck, and so far we have 3. So that's telling me that this particular relationship, so now I'm not talking about the boyfriend, I'm talking about the relationship, the partnership between the client and the boyfriend here. This particular relationship is one of dominance. And I am really believing that the dominance here is coming from the boyfriend. The relationship has always been his way. It's always been what he wants, when he wants it, how often he wants it. So, you know, and I would imagine that the client is somebody who just says to him, no, it's fine. Yes, we'll do it your way. You know, that's okay. I don't mind. We'll do, you know, I feel like very submissive, whereas he is obviously very dominant. His needs, his moods, his work, as far as he's concerned, is more important than anybody else's. So that's why he's not noticing the way that you're feeling and the way the question. So when you ask questions, he gets irritated because he feels like, why do you want to know? Everything's fine. What do you want to talk about that for? So I immediately get that sense that he is quite domineering in the way that he responds, and which is why you're feeling the way he is. But the truth of the matter is, he's responding the way he is because he's just overwhelmed with trying to figure things out in the workplace, trying to understand everything that's going on around him, and trying to keep everything afloat, because he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to have everything just so. And he's clearly not coping. He's clearly not doing very well with that at all. Right. So then, is there something going on, and do I need to be worried? Was the balance of her question there. So let's have a look. Is there something going on? Is there something else not work related? Okay, so because we've covered that, is there something else not work related going on here that we need to know about? And is there a need to be concerned and worried about the future of the relationship? So is there something else going on, and is there something that we need to be concerned and worried about going forward in the relationship? All right, shuffle, cut the deck. So is there something else going on? We have got the Strength card. And do we need to be concerned and worried? We have got the Nine of Swords. So immediately with these two cards, we've got, I'm going to call them polar opposites, because the Strength card says that you're strong enough to face the lion. We're strong enough to handle the lion, to work with the lion, to deal with the lion, to tame the lion, okay? So is there something else going on? I don't think so. I think your relationship, like going back to your relationship is solid. There is nothing else going on. You need to tame the lion here being the boyfriend. You've got to dig deep within yourself to find that courage, to find that strength, to tame him. And I can't remember now. You see how, what was the last one? Oh, and do I need to be worried? When I look at this card for do you need to be worried, I'm going to say to you that yes, you need to be worried because it's in your nature to be worried. Okay, you are that kind of a person who is always thinking of, mindful of, cautious of, aware of everybody around you, and you always want everybody around you to be happy. So you are just, and I know this is going to sound terrible, but you are just a worrywart, and you're always going to be worried. So for me to tell you there's nothing for you to worry about will make you worry in itself, because you are just going to worry. But what you need to understand is that you are strong enough to deal with this relationship. You're strong enough to make the best of this relationship, and actually this relationship is really, really good. So I'm going to move my tarot out the way for a second, just so that I don't bump it, and I'm going to grab the oracle. So this is my Sacred Destiny Oracle, and I just want an additional bit of information, a little additional bit of guidance. What have I maybe missed? What have I maybe not mentioned? What have I maybe not spoken about that would be relevant, that would be appropriate for you right here and right now, to offer you advice and guidance on how to take this relationship to the next level, on how to make the relationship better, easier, and just more comfortable and more content for you. Okay, so I'm happy with that shuffle. I'm going to cut over there. Right, so I'm moving the oracle out the way as well. So the card that I've drawn for the oracle there is the card of delight. Now let's just observe the artwork for a second. So here we have a little bird. Note the bird is on the ground. The bird is not up in the sky. Okay, so the bird is grounded. All right, and I don't mean grounded as in from a spiritual point of view, meditation point of view, keeping yourself grounded. I mean grounded as in not flying. Okay, grounded as in on the ground and not up in the air where it needs to be. And typically for a bird that is grounded, they are immediately more vulnerable than they would be if they were flying. So this is telling me, and again it's confirming from an intuition point of view, that you are feeling very vulnerable right now. You're feeling very much like that you're in potential danger. So you're on the ground, you are looking up, you are looking at all the other things going on around you, and you're surrounded by all this beauty. We've got all the pretty flowers and everything, which is where the delight comes in. But it's first of all acknowledging your vulnerability. And once you've acknowledged your vulnerability, it's about realizing that you are strong enough to overcome it, that your wings are fine, your ability to fly, your ability to soar, your ability to to overcome the challenge is really, really strong. And the delight means that if you take a moment, take a minute to ponder your current situation, to ponder and to notice all the beauty that's around you, to notice all the little things, okay? To notice all the little things within your relationship that actually bring you joy, and focus more on those. And instead of focusing on the fact that he's distant, the fact that it's been 4 months since he's been sort of distant and you feel neglected, but if you start focusing on all the little things that bring you joy, bring him joy, that bring joy into your home, I think you will turn this whole situation around. But the more you focus on the things that are going wrong and the things that are upsetting you, the more you're feeding that situation. So to me, delight is speaking to the strength card, which is basically telling you that you've got to dig deep within yourself and you've got to find reasons to be happy, to be grateful, to be okay, and support him in what he's doing. But understand that he is a very dominant personality. Okay, your boyfriend is a very dominant personality, and you've always sort of given in to him. You've always allowed him to do and say whatever it is that he wants, and to have whatever he wants. So the situation now is that you're wanting support from him. You're wanting something from him, which he's not giving you because he doesn't know how. His relationship with you has never been like that. He's never been the emotionally supportive one for you. You've always been the one who's been strong enough to stand up for yourself. And that's exactly what you need to carry on doing. So if you can carry on doing that by finding little nuggets of delight in your life, in your relationship with him, you will find that you will be absolutely okay. All right. So friends, I was actually going to do the client's second question as well, but I see I'm on 26 minutes already. So I will do her second question as a second video, just so that I don't bore you with a long video, because I know everybody's busy. So come back for installment 2 for the second installment in this particular client reading. I do hope that you've enjoyed this. I do hope that this helps you if you are a tarot reader yourself, because I know I do have a lot of tarot readers who follow me. So if you enjoyed this, do comment below and let me know. If you'd like to see me do more of these kind of videos, again, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm wondering if you couldn't relate any of this to anything in your own life. And if that is the case, again, I'd love to hear from you. Do comment below. But otherwise, like I said, come back for installment 2 of this particular client's reading. And yeah, we'll chat to you again then. Lots of love and blessings, friends, from my heart to yours. And until we connect again, take care, everybody.